Delaware's Republican Party leader, Charlie Copeland, joins us this week as our first person. Charlie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it.
A week after the elections, and the GOP now holds not one, but two statewide offices.
We doubled our output.
You have 3 more seats in the General Assembly. What do these wins tell you as the party leader?
Well, when I took over as chair a little over a year ago, we really did have a plan. I didn't know if the plan was going to work or not, and it required the Democrats to be somewhat helpful on the other side, which they were in spades. But we went out and we said we're gonna look for non-traditional voters. We're going to compete across the state in every area. We had more African Americans on our ticket than Democrats had on their ticket. We were very aggressive in our messaging about the failures of the economy in Delaware, the failures of our educational system, the violence in the city of Wilmington. And then the Democrats, frankly, couldn't improve anything, and so they were stuck running on a very, very poor record. And I think that's what ultimately reflected itself in the election. We had good candidates. They were very focused on their message, and then the party itself was good at messaging and saying, we really need a change. We need to have a two-party system. We need competitive elections.
There were losses, obviously, at the top of the ticket for U.S. Senate, the House of Representatives, and when you look at the percentages that the GOP candidates lost by, really the margin wasn't that large.
Right. I mean, if you look at registration in the state of Delaware, we're out-registered 63% to 37%. So if the same number of Democrats show up and vote Democrat as the same number of Republicans show up and vote Republican, and the independents break similarly, we lose 63-37. But we didn't lose 63-37. I mean, we had Democrats who've run statewide and been elected statewide multiple times, barely breaking 50%, 55% against brand new candidates or candidates that were completely underfunded. And I think that, again, is indicative of the message that we said, look, we need a two-party state. We need to be able to hold these guys accountable. And guys is what they are. They're all, look just like me, so I don't know why they're the party of diversity and I'm not. But, we took it to them and we competed.
Now, longtime State Senator Bob Venables lost his seat to a newcomer, Bryant Richardson. I know his district is Seaford, which is considered a conservative district, but for someone who's held the seat for so long, what do you think happened this election cycle?
I served when I was in the Senate with Bob Venables, and I like Bob Venables, but he sort of pulled a Bill Roth. He served one too many times, or he tried to run one too many times. And Bryant Richardson ran a good campaign, and it was a Republican year. Again, the economy's not particularly strong here in Delaware relative to the rest of the nation, even the region. And Bob Venables, as the chair of the Bond Bill Committee, voted for every tax increase that's come down the pike, and really has not been, the conservative that I think that area wanted.
Now, on election night, you'd said, and I'm going to quote you, I firmly believe over the next 2 years, we are going to move some issues forward, both nationally and in the state of Delaware, and we're going to have some competitive candidates come 2016. I want to touch on 2 points. What issues specifically nationally and here in Delaware were you referring to?
Well, I think if you look at, again, jobs in the economy, the president has not been particularly strong on the economy. He's been very strong on regulation and putting in Dodd-Frank and putting in a health care law that was sort of half-baked. And he really didn't write the health care law, so I don't necessarily blame him. It was Reid and Pelosi, although he was 2 hands off. But and you look at that impact, and then you look in Delaware, and we have not, the governor has not focused on economic growth in any way, shape, or form. Most of the policies he's put forward have been social policies. That's great. But if you're living in the city of Wilmington and are unemployed, it really doesn't matter what social policies you're putting forward. You have no food. And so, we're going to fight for those issues. I think you will see at the national level. I think you'll see immigration reform. I think you'll see some fixes to the health care law. I don't think you'll see a wholesale elimination of it, but I think there'll be some solid fixes. And I think that as we go into 2016, there will be a clear delineation between what do Republicans think work and how do we move that forward versus what are the Democrats. And in Delaware, I think that will be even more stark because I just don't see where this administration or the mayor of Wilmington or Newcastle County fixes the problems that they've wrought. I mean, they've been in charge for over 2 decades. In the state or in the city of Wilmington for 5 decades. It's kind of hard to blame the Republicans for the woeful state of Delaware.
Now we're going to switch gears to the second part of your quote, which was the candidates in 2016. Ken Simpler won the state treasurer's race, and there's already talk about him now running for governor in 2016. I've heard he said no, but has he said an outright no to it? And have you already approached him about it?
I don't know that he has said the specific phrase, I am not running for governor in 2016. That being said, it's been very, very close to that. And I'm a firm believer in you never say never, because bizarre things can happen. But I would be very, very, very surprised if Ken Simpler ran for governor in 2016, because he really did run saying, look, I'm a finance guy. This is a finance job. We need to get this working. And I think he'd like to build that reputation before he, sort of did what some of the Democrats have done, which is just sort of job search and job hop every 2 years when an election comes up, because they want to try to move up and be the most powerful position. That being said, I think we will have some very strong candidates for governor in 2016, and I'm looking forward to that.
State Senator Colin Bonini announced his intention to run. I've kind of heard Greg Lavelle's name tossed around here or there. Anyone else sort of you're grooming or maybe wanting to approach?
Well, I've obviously talked to Senator Bonini, and I know Senator Lavelle very well. I've known him for a long, long time, and he would be an awesome candidate for governor. And Colin Bonini is a very strong candidate. We've got a woman who's been running around Sussex for a long time, Lacey Lafferty. So we'll let that process play out. I do think that there might be one or two others that are thinking about it. But the party's job is to help Republicans get elected, and in a primary, my job is done because a Republican's going to get elected. So we try to stay out of primaries and try to make sure.
Can you say who those two are?
I cannot, because it's their job to come out and say that. So,
Beau Biden announced that he was going to forgo re-election in the AG's office to pursue his gubernatorial run in 2016. He's been largely out of the public eye. We did see him on return day, but there's still questions about his health. Do you think he's going to run in 2016?
Well, first and foremost, it's nutty to say I'm leaving the second most powerful statewide elected position so that I can run for the most powerful statewide elected position. Nobody in good health does that, because you stay as Attorney General and run as governor from the Attorney General's office, because you can have press conferences all the time when you're putting bad guys in jail, setting policy. So the fact that he is getting out of the Attorney General's office, or has gotten out of it, says to me that he's got some significant recuperation to do. Now, he may be healthy by the time 2016 rolls around, but he clearly has, and at Returns Day he was there, but he didn't stay, and he didn't talk to anybody. So I don't know what his health issues are. I hope they're all behind him, but I think it doesn't make any sense to say, well, I'm gonna, unless you're not healthy.
People have said his personality, though, is that of he doesn't want to do anything half-heartedly, and that's why he did not run for re-election.
If you don't want to do it, you do it as the Attorney General. Do the Attorney General's office at 150% and put a lot of bad guys away and set good policy and protect kids, and you get elected governor. That's, I think that's kind of, again, that belies common sense, and frankly, it runs counter to hundreds of years of political races and people getting elected and how they do it.
Okay.
So I just think that's a front for something.
So fairly confident, though, that he would be on the 2016 ticket, or you just don't know?
I just don't know. I think that it's wrong that we don't know. When Mike Castle had some health issues, he told everybody exactly what it was within days. When Bill Roth had health issues, he told everybody exactly what it was. And I think that now he's no longer a public official. Well, he won't be as of January 6th. But at some point, he's going to face the voters, and the voters have a right to know the health of and what the issues were. Here's a young man, he's in his mid-40s, who's had a stroke and clearly some sort of tumor in his brain. I think it's, to an extent, I think it's sad, and that he's so driven, or his family is so driven, to put his health at such risk for, Governor of Delaware, okay, fine, but 100 years from now, I don't remember who the governor of Delaware was 100 years ago. So what are you really doing it for?
Okay, well, we're going to end it there. Charlie Copeland, chair of Delaware's GOP, thank you so much for your time.